friends, today I'm going to talk about 6 bookish friendships that remind me of the friendships between Taehyung and the other BTS members. Why yes, it is another BTS video. I feel like at this point these come as no surprises, and I think people are either obviously they enjoy the content too because they are also in the BTS rabbit hole, or they just got used to it, or they left, and all of that is completely fine by me. I just know that I get a lot of happiness out of making these videos, and today, especially because today is Kim Taehyung's birthday, and as for Jin's birthday, a couple of people within the Booktube army have come together to do a video for Tae's birthday, and I'm always excited about these, just like coming together as a group and making these kinds of videos, but this time around it is especially exciting because Tae is my bias, and so obviously I'm super excited. I'm just full of love and just hope that he has the most wonderful, most beautiful, happiest birthday that he could hope for, even though he's probably traveling, but still. I'm just excited to make a video in his honor and talk about some bookish friendships that I feel like kind of represent the relationships that Tae has with each of the other BTS members. I actually thought that this would be harder than it ended up being. I was trying to think like, what does each kind of friendship, represent, and kind of tried to go from there. But then I ended up actually approaching it from the other side and looking at bookish friendships that I really love and that mean a lot to me. And that's when things just ended up really clicking into place. I'm really excited about this list. I think that there's some really interesting choices on here. And for this one, I'm obviously also really excited to see other people's choices. And, if you're not involved in the project or whatever, I would still absolutely love to, see your choices or who you kind of would think of in the comments down below. I think it would be really fun if you just let me know who you would choose. And again, if you agree or disagree with any of these. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna get into it. We're gonna go in Bangtan order as well. So we're gonna start with Tae and Namjoon, and this was definitely one where I knew immediately the direction I wanted to go into, but I was kind of struggling with what exactly I wanted for this. And I guess it's always Namjoon because I feel like I was struggling with the your bias as a book with Namjoon as well, kind of, where I just had a hard time explaining my choice, but then a lot of people liked the choice, so that's great. In the end, when I finally thought of this, it just felt right. For a lot of those, I would come up with different choices and I would go back and forth. But with this one, once I had this choice, I was just you know what, this is the one that I'm gonna go for. And for Tae and Namjoon, I'm going with Magnus and Clary from the whole Shadowhunter universe. I talked about once how I kind of think that Tae's favorite character in the Shadowhunter universe would be Clary. And I feel like since then, I really very much correlate Tae to Clary. And obviously they have, art in common. So my brain just very much goes to Clary when it comes to bookish characters and Tae. But I do think that it is a really good fit because what I wanted for the relationship between Tae and Namjoon is kind of a mentor relationship because, obviously Namjoon is the leader, and especially, his relationships with the MacLeod line just is definitely that of a mentor. And I think that, Magnus is just this person in Clary's life who definitely to her is like a mentor, and who is just the one that kind of, I think very much in a way makes her feel safe and home in this world that she didn't really know and understand before. And I think that she knows she can always come to Magnus with any of her problems. I think she knows that she can trust him so much, and I think that she has this trust, she had that trust in him even before she actually knew she knew him. And I just think that that is a trust that is also represented in Tae and Namjoon. These two characters, even though they might not be super loud about it, these two characters really do love each other, and we might not see too much of their relationship, but it is so apparent that they are really important people in each other's lives. And I think that in the same way that, Clary looks up to Magnus and just feels like he's this person that she can really trust and really count on. I think that Magnus definitely feels the same way about Clary, and I think that they inspire each other as well. I think that definitely Magnus in some way also looks up to Clary. He very much just feels inspired by her as well. And I think that that definitely goes for Namjoon and Tae as well. I don't know, it makes me feel kind of soft because I do really, really love the relationship between Magnus and Clary. Then for Tae and Jin, I think I have maybe the most like weird flex but okay relationship, and that is Katniss and Haymitch from the Hunger Games. Now, hear me out. If you have not been here for super long, you probably will not know how hard I go for Katniss and Haymitch. They are literally one of my favorite non-romantic relationships in this whole entire world. Their relationship is so fascinating, so interesting, has so many layers to it. And it is another one where, like, from the outside, it might not be, like, super apparent, but they mean the world to each other. And they are literally each other's families. It's been a while since I last reread The Hunger Games, so when I kind of remembered how much I love Katniss and Haymitch and how hard I used to go for them, there was a time when you could barely find a video without me, like, not kind of bringing it up. And so once I kind of thought about, like, how much I've always appreciated this relationship, I knew I wanted to include it in this video. And I think for me, it really fits for Tae and Jin because I think that they, first of all, definitely have a friendship where they are not afraid to, like, make fun of each other. They are not afraid to kind of clown each other, you know, a lot of the times, which I think definitely goes for Katniss and Haymitch. At the same time, I think that they're also not afraid to criticize each other. I think they are not afraid to call each other out and not afraid to just, like, you know, like, have intense discussions about things as well and say when something bothers the other one and stuff like that. And I think that that is definitely Katniss and Haymitch as well. But at the end of the day, they love each other. They are each other's family, and they are also always there for each other, and they are ready to encourage each other. Always, 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 always. I think it's very underrated how important Haymitch is for Katniss' well-being in general, and how much he puts into not only making her the winner, but, like, actually just assuring that she's doing okay, that she's doing well. And I think at the same time it is even more underappreciated how important Katniss is to Haymitch's well-being as well, and how much she like takes care of him. But I just think that she very much is always there for him in his dark moments as well. And yeah, I just really think that the way these characters care for each other, even though it might not always be very apparent to an outside perspective, is definitely something that you can see in Tae and Jin's relationship as well. Then we have Tae and Yoongi, which is one of my favorite friendships between all the BTS members. I feel like there's definitely, you know, there will always be like friendships you go harder for. Tae and Yoongi is definitely for me one of them, because I love how much Tae looks up to Yoongi. I think that Yoongi is really Tae's biggest role model and has inspired him the most throughout all the years in BTS. And I think at the same time, Tae really is able to speak to Yoongi's soft spot. And I think that Tae very much inspires Yoongi to be a more open, more emotional person. A person that is much more confident to show his emotions and much more confident and comfortable to show affection as well. I definitely think that, you know, I think that Yoongi is a very affectionate, loving person. I just think that he is not always, or used to not always be super comfortable with showing it. And I think that a big part as to why he has become more comfortable about that is definitely Tae. I definitely think that Tae inspires that in him. So for these two, I ended up going with Katsa and Bitterblue from the Graceling Realm trilogy. And I think what especially stands out to me for those two is that we see Bitterblue as a young girl in Graceling, and then we see her, you know, as a grown-up. in Bitter Blue being such a strong person. And I think that's what especially got me about these two and why I really loved choosing them for Taegi, because it's just so wonderful to see how Bitter Blue always looks up to Katsa and learns so much from Katsa and literally is just so very inspired by her. And then in Bitter Blue, we actually see that the woman she has become is so very much inspired by Katsa, and that she is really positively influenced by Katsa's presence in her life. And even though she is in Bitter Blue so much her own person and so much has her unique traits and qualities, and I think she very much also learned through Katsa to just be herself and to not be apologetic about who she is and what she wants in life, I still think you can tell how much she is inspired and influenced by Katsa, even in Bitter Blue. And I think that that is Tae and Yoongi to a T. I think that Tae learned so much how to be his own person and how to be just comfortable with who he is and how not to be afraid to show who he is through Yoongi. But at the same time, it's also that a lot of what we see in Tae today is inspired and is influenced by Yoongi. And I just absolutely love that. And then I think the other way around is just as much their relationship as well, where first of all, Katsa is incredibly proud of who Bitter Blue has become and just loves to see her grow as a person and loves to just see her, you know, so very much be comfortable just being who she is. But then I think that Katsa also definitely does find a lot of inspiration in Bitter Blue. I think that that is definitely already apparent in Graceling, but I think especially in Bitter Blue, we can definitely just like see how much Bitter Blue's presence means to Katsa in her life. And I just think that both of them mean so very much to each other. And while Katsa definitely always treated Bitter Blue as an equal, even when she, you know, took so much care of Bitter Blue in Graceling, it is even more apparent how much, you know, Katsa just really looks at Bitter Blue as a grown woman and as someone who just, she knows she can trust to know what she is doing. And like, she's always ready to be by her side, to support her in whatever she does. But at the end of the day, Katsa always knows 100% that she can trust Bitter Blue in whatever she does as well. Maybe this is my favorite out of all of the ones, the one that I'm just really, really happy with. I will let you know I had a very, very close second choice that I almost choose for Tae and Yoongi, and I'm not going to get into it because I know that the video is going to be long enough as it is, but my second choice for Tae and Yoongi would have been Legolas and Gimli from Lord of the Rings. Just think about it, alright? I really wanted to have the role model aspect that is so apparent in Katsa and Bitter Blue, and how much Bitter Blue looks up to Katsa. I think that is what ended up making me go with them instead of Legolas and Gimli, but like, just think about it. It's fucking perfect for these two. Then we have Tae and Hobie, which was definitely not an easy one either, but in the end, I'm definitely happy with my choice, even though I think it's another one that's a little bit of a weird flex. But I've always really loved this friendship, and I think that it is a very, very underrated friendship because it is not super present on page, but what we do get is wonderful and really, really important in the main character's life. And that is Harry and Luna from Harry Potter. Luna is so unapologetically herself, and I think that not even by like doing much, just by being herself, she teaches Harry that it is okay to be unapologetically himself as well. And I think that Luna does so much to make Harry realize that it is totally okay to not be normal. It is totally okay to be different, and that it's amazing to be different, and that it is something that you can be proud of instead of, you know, feeling insecure about it. And I definitely think that Hobie does that for Tae as well. And I think at the same time, you know, Harry just accepts Luna as she is as well and never really questions what she does, which we definitely see in a lot of the other characters. Even the characters that like really like and appreciate Luna, they definitely will sometimes feel like, she's a bit weird, isn't she? And I think that Harry never really does that. I think that Harry is always just so appreciative of her presence. And I think that out of all of the friendships in Harry Potter, obviously there's so many amazing friendships and so many amazing people in Harry's life. I think that Luna is the one who makes Harry be the most okay to be himself. But then again, I also think that Harry just absolutely accepts Luna as she is. And I also think that, you know, Luna is just always ready to like hype up Harry. I think she's always ready, like with whatever stupid idea he would have, or, you know, whatever his plan would be. I think that she's always ready to like encourage him. And I definitely think that is very much Hobie and Tay as well. I think that Tay goes to Hobie a lot of the times to be like, hey, look at this cool thing that I did. And Hobie, you just know that Hobie will always be like, wow, you did so well. You know, this is so great. I'm so proud of you. And I definitely think that it has big Luna energy. And again, I also think that at the same time, Harry gives the exact same feeling of just like, hey, I accept you exactly as you are to Luna. And I think that Tay definitely does that for Hobie as well. And so I really love this one, even though again, I realize it is kind of like a weird flex. Then we have my absolute favorite friendship in all of Bangtan. I think that there's almost no way to like not love Tay and Jimin if you're a Tay bias, because they are literal soulmates and they mean the absolute world to each other. And I think that, quite honestly, I think that there is definitely a lot of good relationships, good friendships you can find for Tay and Jimin, but I think at the end of the day, I would 1,000 times rather write a book about these two and the way they have found each other and the way they have influenced their life. I think that their story is nothing you can find in any other book. I think that their story is a story in and of itself. I think that the friendship between these two is something that seems just like out of a fiction book. And so I don't think I could ever find a true friendship that 100% represents them for me, because their friendship is so intense and so meaningful that there is no way to find that represented like that in any book. Again, I would rather just write a book about these two and the way they have found each other. But at the end of the day, obviously I did have to make a choice. And again, I do think that there's a lot of amazing choices out there that definitely fit. I just think nothing will ever 100% hit the same. But I ended up going with Sam and Frodo from Lord of the Rings. I don't even know what to say. Like, obviously, this is one of the most, to me anyway, it's one of the most intense friendships in all of fictional history, because they literally go like to the end of the fucking world together to destroy this evil. And they support each other through everything. Like, Frodo goes on this death mission and it's never for 1 second any question if Sam will go with him on this journey or not. Like, Sam is just like, I'm going on this fucking journey with you. Like, you are not going alone. There's no way I will let you go alone. And literally Sam almost fucking drowns because he's just like, Frodo, you little shit, you're not going by yourself. For me, this is kind of an amazing pick, because it's like, obviously the trilogy is about the whole fellowship, and then you have these two who are just so intense and really will not leave each other's sides. And then you have this whole fellowship around them, which is like, wow, like that is literally Tay and Jimin surrounded by the rest of Bangtan, which my fucking feels. But Frodo could not have done this without Sam. Like, he literally could not have done this without Sam. And they support each other throughout everything. Even through Gollum being a little shit and trying to fucking separate them, they will not leave each other's side. And I definitely think that if you know this whole, how do you say, not theory, I don't know how to say it, but if you know this whole thing about the red string of fate, I think it's called, I think that Tay and Jimin definitely have that string, and I think that Sam and Frodo have that string as well, and I think that that string will always connect them, and I think that you can absolutely see that represented when you look at Lord of the Rings. They will always find their way towards each other. And for the relationship that I've named so far, obviously it was always like clear, like this person is this character and this person is this character. I think for Sam and Frodo, you could definitely argue for both, but I think at the end of the day, Sam is Jimin and Frodo is is Tae. But I think that at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. I think what really matters with these two is just that they will support each other through everything. They will share their sadness, their happiness, their anger, their everything. They will never leave each other's sides. Even if they physically do, they will always, always, always be there for each other. They will always love and cherish each other. They will always remember how much they mean to each other. And it doesn't matter if it's them being on a literal journey to death or if it's just them chilling in the Shire. They mean the world to each other and they are each other's most important people. And like that's what matters to me. That's what matters about how much I think this friendship represents Tae and Jimin. It doesn't even matter who's who. I'm just fucking soft about it. And finally we have Tae and Jungkook, and for this one I decided to go with Fred and George from Harry Potter. Now obviously Fred and George are brothers, they are twins, and I do think that basically for all the members you could totally go with like sibling relationships because they do feel so much like brothers and they are family to each other. But I think that it is especially fitting to have the twins for Tae and JK because obviously they're the youngest. I mean, obviously Tae and Jimin are like super close in age, but still, at the end of the day, Tae and JK are the youngest. I just really think that this is another relationship where you always know how much these two mean to each other. Even though they don't have this relationship where they're like super affectionate on the outside, they're obviously like just super, you know, just making jokes, laughing with each other, just constantly having fun with each other. You still just know, you know at all times, it's never a question that these two just mean the world to each other. And I just think that we very much see that in Tae and JK's friendship as well, where they make so many jokes and we just see them having fun with each other so much, but we also know how much they mean to each other. We know how important they are to each other, and also they are there for each other always, which is the same with Fred and George. And we see them give so much emotional support to each other, but we also see them just supporting each other unapologetically, and also I think very much encouraging each other to just be themselves and like not think about what anybody else thinks. I think that's definitely very represented in both as individuals as well. I think that both Tae and JK, and like JK definitely has been on a big journey with that the past couple of months, but I think that both of them are so super unapologetic about who they are, and they are just like, I am just putting myself out there just as I am, which I definitely think is Fred and George. They very much encourage that in each other as well, and again, lots of emotional support, just always there for each other, mean the world to each other, but then from the outside we just see them just having the best, most fun times together and just being jokesters together. So yeah, these were the 6 friendships between Tae and the other BTS members represented in bookish or fictional friendships. Again, I really loved doing this list so much and ended up finding it way easier than I thought it was going to be at first, and I'm just really happy with this list. Just thinking of these made me so soft, and obviously especially with Tae being my bias, you know, all these relationships just mean so much to me, and I just love the different things that these 6 members bring into Tae's life. I love how they all always encourage him to be just the person that he is, to be unapologetically himself. I love the emotional support that they all give him. I love that they all love with each other. They all encourage each other, and I think that all the members are so very proud of Tae, and I hope that he feels that every day, but especially today. Yeah, I just really loved making this list. It means a lot to me. So yeah, let me know what you think of my choices. You know, do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you agree, disagree? I want to know, and obviously would love to hear any of your choices for these as well. And yeah, I make new videos hopefully at least once a week, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!